Right. Hey, Ron and Clue. So, exciting news, right? The drips and drabs are starting up once again for products to come, right? So, timeline-wise, right, we're post-high seas, start of June, and now next product up, we have Armory Deck Ira, July 11th. Following that, we have our Mastery Pack Guardian at the start of August, and then Smash Palace at the other end of August, and then Set 17 will be mid-September, going off of the fact that Gem Pack 3 will be released on September 26th, along with the Living Legend Armory deck cards becoming tournament legal. So there's the Living Legend Armory deck for Viserai and for Prism, right? So we expect, the general trend of new gear, a couple of Majestics, and maybe a rare or two, right? So they will all be tournament legal. And then we also have another teaser of Suspense, right? So Suspense, whatever this keyword indicates, right? Because it's using that sort of fonting of keywords. So yeah, it's the American date and time. So that is the first of the seventh, right? Not the seventh of the first for anyone local, right? So yeah, some exciting stuff to come. But of course, the big one for us to talk about today is the Armory Deck Ira, right? So Armory Deck Ira, currently teased, we have Enact Vengeance, a real interesting sort of CNC light card for Ninja, right? So off the back of that, we also have a couple of new cards for the Armory Deck, and that is Iris of the Blossom and Okana Scar Wraps. And both of these look super good, right? Super interesting, really good design, and just some good, nice interactions with certain cards. Also gives us probably the clear indication that Whirling Mist Blossom will be reprinted in the Armory deck for Ira, which makes sense. It's an Ira spec, of course. But let's jump into the card, shall we? So we'll start with the Iris of the Blossom. Instant tap, discard a card, search your deck for Whirling Mist Blossom, banish it, then shuffle. You may play it this turn. Activate this only if you've hit this turn. So it is, yes, in a sense, a combination of Mask of Momentum and Mask of Pouncing Lynx, right? But, of course, it specifically fetches Whirling Mist Blossom, but probably more uniquely, it is reusable, hence like Mask of Momentum. So Mask of Momentum, when an attack action card you control is the third or higher chain link in a row to hit, draw a card, and Mask of Pouncing Lynx, whenever an attack action card you control hits, you may destroy the mask. If you do, search your deck for an attack action card with 2 or less base power, bash it, shuffle, and you may play it this turn. So yeah, super interesting effect. Obviously, it is basically Ira only, since Whirling Mist Blossom itself is an Ira card. So then the question to ask is, the draw off of it better than Mask Momentum, right? So instant tap, discard a card. So you're trading one card for one card. You're not getting any extra draw off of the Iris itself. But then Whirling Mist Blossom, its effect is when Whirling Mist Blossom hits, and it's the second or higher chain link in a row to hit, you get to draw 2 cards, right? Not 1, 2. So yeah, that is some pretty powerful setup. And the fact that the Iris of Blossom is reusable, so if you have ways to cycle back Whirling Mist Blossom, you're looking at, more than 3 uses for Classic Constructed. That is pretty nice to have up your sleeve as Ira, right? Especially, again, with certain shenanigans to actually make Whirling Mist Blossom hit, or the card before it hit. So, of course, we have a card like Flick Knives. Now, Ira herself doesn't have a super impactful way to recycle daggers. Now, we do have a few cards that do allow us to get back our daggers, but it's not as clean cut as someone like, say, Syndra. But it's still something worth noting, right, for that guaranteed hit to set up both Iris, triggering, right, and then Whirling Mist Blossom as a must-block card, right? So, yeah, definitely some thought to be had there, but we're also leaning heavily into Edge of Autumn with our Okana Scar Wrap. So attack reaction, tap this, banish an Edge of Autumn you control, target ninja attack action card gets +1. So that is already super interesting because it's a reusable attack reaction, right? You banish your weapon, you're not banishing a card from hand, so it's essentially a +1, but it also has other upside because it has the following effects of whenever an attack you control with Vengeance in its name hits, you may equip an Edge of Autumn from your banish zone, meaning that it's not only a +1, it's banishing your weapon and potentially re-equipping it, and if you re-equip it, it means you get to reuse it. So, Edge of Autumn basically becomes too harmonized that you don't have to pitch correctly in order to activate, since it has that inbuilt go again. So this is definitely a really solid way by LSS to make Edge of Autumn a bit more comparable to obviously taking 2 weapons, since it is a 2-handed sword. So, Okana Scar Wraps just seem utterly fantastic, right? A reusable +1 is already real good value, and then again, the ability to get your weapon a second time and just continue that chain. And both it and the Iris of Blossom don't break the chain in any way too. So they are very, very ninja friendly. Now, of course, the only Vengeance card we have currently is Enact Vengeance, but we assume there might be one or two more to go along with this sort of mechanic. But still, getting up to a +4 out of this arm slot is definitely solid, right? That is above rate. And then you throw in the fact that it has Blade Break too. So it is a super strong arm piece that to me definitely makes up for the fact that you're taking a kind of below rate weapon, right? Now, in the case of making it a bit more easy to trigger, we have a card like Bond of Ancestry, where of course we can have an easier time finding our Enact Vengeances or our other Vengeance cards, again, depending what gets reprinted. But in Katsu, right, interestingly, we do have something like Retrace the Past, which would allow us to act as another Vengeance card, right? So yeah, there are definitely ways and thoughts to think about whether or not this sort of beats out the value of something like, well, Flick Knives and Mask Momentum. So yeah, on the one side, we have the guaranteed hit, right? Minus damage prevention of Flick Knives at the cost of destroying your daggers again, and every ninja that isn't Syndra gets a little bit more tricky to re-equip the daggers. It's not impossible. Obviously, there's Concealed Blade. There's lots of other cards for us to do it. It's just not inbuilt, obviously, to the hero. So yeah, we have that threat of, again, being able to once per turn destroy a dagger to try and guarantee a hit for those other effects, versus that of the Okana Scar Wraps, where we're getting that +1, we're potentially getting a second weapon swing to again increase the chain links, so that salvages the dagger issue. But it being a tap mechanic, right, means that it could potentially be open to being untapped by some sort of other interaction in the future, and that to me makes it a little bit more deadly. Now, the other thought here is because it's on board, its presence is known, it can force your opponent to block a bit inefficiently. Because to them, right, you could activate this, you could bash your weapon, and you could get that +1, and then that hit, right, for Mask Momentum or any of your other triggers. Meaning that to shut it down, they have to give that extra card. Whereas Flick Knives is a bit more unresponsive from your opponent, right? They have less interaction to it. That's just something that they have to suffer, right? So yeah, it's definitely going to open up some fun and interesting play, right? So overall, some exciting cards for our Armory deck Aira, right? Some different toolkits for Ninja. And again, while we have the Mask definitely being an Aira specific card, interacting with her spec, I do really like Okana Scar Wraps and the possibility that it might open up Edge of Autumn for other ninjas to have some fun and interesting uses with, right? Again, it salvages the dagger argument, maybe even acting as a little bit more threatening, right? Because your opponent has more rationale and reason to block certain cards, in this case, the Vengeance cards, right? And that flexibility of being able to give one of your ninja attacks a +1, which can matter a lot more than just guaranteeing the hit on the chain, right? Because there's lots of deadly, devastating effects that you do want to trigger, right? In fact, Enact Vengeance itself is a card that comes with Arsenal Destruction if it hits, so getting that +1 on that is definitely better than just flicking a dagger, right, and keeping that chain link active in terms of having hits. So yeah, so far, really exciting cards to see. I can't wait to see what else is in store for the Aira Armory deck, right? Some more Vengeance cards, some more interactions, maybe some other play with Edge of Autumn, and of course, at the very least, right, we're probably looking at 2 more equipment pieces and probably 1 to 2 more Majestics. So excited to see what comes, excited to see what this opens up. Very, very interesting cards. Let me know what you think. Hope you enjoyed. See ya.